So at this point, we're left to assume Haley gives Spanky his cut of money. And now they're going their separate ways, right?
Oh yeah, she gives him like $10 out of $4 grand or something.
Yeah. Because they quote unquote need quarters. I mean, this is where we're going to get to next too. They need quarters to call the Nintendo Power helpline, the counselors. It's going to take a lot of quarters to catch up on all the games that they can't find out in the wild. So they're going to call the counselor. So we're going to get there. But in doing so, they need someplace to like hunker down. So 3 12-year-old kids get a hotel room in a casino. How? We're left to assume Spanky left.
Trucker code.
Did she let the guy at the lobby touch her bobbins to get in? Like, how does this happen?
Why do you keep saying bobbins?
Okay, fine. Her breasts.
Oh, God, that's worse.
So anyway, so she's in the room making phone calls, and while Jimmy and Corey are spending time either in the casino arcade or at the pool. Well, I mean, she ends up at the pool too. But
and again, the only thing Corey's doing the entire movie is, Jimmy, you gotta do this. Jimmy, stop doing that.
Like, Jimmy, use the sauce and not a dry rub. So the Nintendo Power phone line, the counselor calls. Who exactly is paying for these hours of calls? Because I've been there. I was old enough to actually call and get lambasted by mom and dad for jerking up the phone bill like $10 or something.
Paul, stop dry rubbing the phone bill.
Number one, you couldn't call. She goes, we're gonna need a lot of quarters. You can't call the Nintendo Power helpline back then from a payphone. They don't use a payphone. That's why she got the hotel room. You also can't. I researched, from what I understand, you couldn't make 900 calls from a hotel room because Nintendo would bill the owner of the phone line.
Yeah.
900 calls, from what I understand, is 900 phone calls were not allowed in and I don't know, maybe casino hotels are different, but it's just something that doesn't make any sense. And I mean, how much money exactly do they have? How many nights did they pay for this hotel room? I did also research back in 1989. The cost of calling a Nintendo counselor was $2 for the first minute, 45 cents for each additional minute.
Holy shit.
And we're left to assume that they had like quite a few dozen. And you can see in the cuts, what's it called? That part of the movie where they keep going back and forth, where she's on the phone.
It's like a montage.
Yeah, montage. He's going through stacks of binders, and if anybody knows what these counselors' binders looked like sometimes you'd have one binder for one game, because like you would have like a level of a game would take up like 20 pages of drawn maps and like hints and codes and cheats and all this other shit, and like where is this and where is that, and glossaries and indexes, and he's going through stacks. So you're assuming she's been on this call probably for like 10 fucking hours.
And see, what if you had... Now, this is something that I thought about watching this scene. What if you had an issue with the game so specific that then the counselor had to then play the game up to the point to where you are? Like, that would take a lot of fucking time, too.
Yeah, not only do they have to go through these binders, which if you want an easy way to figure out what's in these binders... I mean, you can probably find anybody on YouTube, but I know one person, Metal Jesus Rocks, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, did a video where he actually got his hands on a counselor binder, because he lives in Seattle or around that area. So he's been in Washington, and he got his hands on one of those binders, and he goes through what's in one of them, and it's really interesting. But not only does this counselor have to go through every single binder for the game that Haley's calling, but he's probably got to play through it too on the phone with her, which takes time.
Right.
You know? And I just don't understand who's paying for these fucking phone calls. Now, they don't say that, like... I mean, like I said, she said it's going to take quarters, but they don't specify how expensive it's going to be. But you got to imagine it's fucking expensive, and I still don't think they made that much money. They had to use Spanky's money. How do we know how much money Spanky started with at the craps table?
What was she calling them for in the first place?
Because
tips.
Because from the time they left playing Double Dragon up through the arcade, whatever was at the arcade at the casino,
yeah.
It only covered X amount of games. Remember, they were sitting on the lawn, and she goes, we got all these games covered. We still need X amount more, like 30, 40 out of 93 or something. And that's the goal. She's getting all the rest of that information from a Nintendo Power Counselor.
Okay.
And then relaying it to Jimmy so that he can like memorize how to play these games, because they don't know what games they're going to be playing when they get to Universal Studios.
I guess that, in a movie that doesn't make sense, I guess that makes sense. It doesn't, but...
And at this point, have you seen Putnam's car?
Oh,
the
yeah.
fucking front end is trashed. Like, doors are missing. The trunk is in the fucking back window. It's rattling, it's dragging shit. The wheels are going like that. Like, especially when you're driving through Nevada and Reno in particular, like, this guy should be getting pulled over. This car should be getting impounded. Like, how has he driven it this far and still going to Los Angeles with this car like this?
Would you pull over the slave one? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Let's go back to Sam and Nick. Have a little bit of sanity. So we clearly see Putnam is about to give a tow truck driver a bribe to take Sam's pickup truck to a scrapyard. Again, adults doing shitty things, and Putnam's still doing very illegal things. But the driver at the yard later, when Sam shows up, tells Sam that he took the truck because he thought it was Putnam's and it looked like a wreck. Which makes no sense, because it was clearly a bribe. And so was it that the tow truck driver or the guy at the scrapyard is lying to Sam to save his own ass? It's not like Sam's going to call the cops on the guy. Sam doesn't call cops on anybody.
Right.
He could have done that the whole fucking movie on Putnam.
But Putnam, again,
Sam is such a pushover.
He's working
so nice.
for the cops, though, technically, because the cops are like, well, we're sick of finding your kids, and the other people hired, the mom and the stepdad. I don't know any of these characters' names, because who could give a shit?
Chris.
But, they hired, like, nobody, like, the cops were probably just like, Boba Fett, pedophile Boba Fett, go do your thing. Like, we're not trying to find these kids.
It's
poorly written. It's a really hard thing for us to say here on this show tonight, but this could perhaps be a poorly written movie.
So at this point we see that Sam is actually told, like we see for the first time, Sam being told by somebody where the kids are going by a waitress. The waitress says that they're going to the Video Armageddon in L.A. But somehow Putnam also knows, even though he was outside giving the tow truck driver a bribe and then leaving. He makes the phone call before he does that, saying where they're going, but he just got there. Nobody told him. Like, how does he all of a sudden magically know? I don't know. Okay. And knowing that, he knows they're going to L.A. Okay? We know Putnam knows at this point they're going to L.A. Sam and Nick at this point also know the kids are going to L.A. Still, makes no sense that they would go to fucking Reno. Where, yes, the kids happen to be in Reno. And why wouldn't they just go straight to L.A.? Why do they just happen to stop in Reno where the kids are? How do they know to go to Reno when both parties, one, we see being told they're going to L.A.
Well, that's the next stop.
And the other one, not being seen that they're going to L.A.
Because that's the next stop on
But it's not the next stop. I'll get to what the map of the United States looks like in a minute.
It's this, in this universe, because of the red matter, all of the U.S. exists on one road. And so it's just the next stop on this one long road that exists in this movie.
But there's no 100% certainty. I'm ignoring what you just said. There's no 100% certainty that Putnam was going to find the kids in Reno when there was a 100% certainty that he just drives to LA and looks for them there, and if they're not there, he knows where to wait for them. But instead he just happens to go to fucking Reno. Like, remember, the kids were only in Reno because Haley was from there. She lives there now. She knows her dad's trucking buddy. She knows Spanky. She can make some money. And it also helps give her a little bit of a backstory, brings her character arch around a little bit to make her less of a liar and more trustworthy. You know, and maybe she's got a little something for Corey. God knows why, but she does. You know, it's a convenience. It's to help really bring forward that she doesn't exist for convenience sake, that she actually exists for a reason. And it just, no one adult knows anything about Reno, but they just, Putnam happens to show up there. Sam and Nick don't. The next time we see Sam and Nick is in LA. So we can assume Sam and Nick went from the cafe, or actually not the cafe, but the scrapyard where they got the truck rebuilt, and went straight to LA, whereas Putnam just happens to go to Reno.
Some would say, I would say, personally, that this was a poorly written movie.
You fucking said that. Where they start off in Utah, and going through Nevada to get to LA, they should have been going through southern Nevada the whole time, essentially leading them through Las Vegas, and then into California from there, into LA. Reno is 7 hours north of Vegas, which actually makes it further north than LA, than where they started from. Now, we can give them the benefit of the doubt that they went to Reno because that's where Haley's from, but they still had to have been going like this to get there. Actually, camera. Or I don't know, what's the fucking...
You can flip it around and post.
They should have been going like this. I mean, no. They were going like this, and then they got to Reno, and then from Reno they got to drop all the way down to go south to LA, when they should have, where they started out, they should have went that way, hit Vegas, and then kept going that way, and went into LA. Logistically, now at this point, I mean, to a child watching this movie, whatever, they don't give a shit. I didn't give a shit. I knew nothing about that kind of stuff. As an adult watching this movie, weak sauce. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Not a damn lick of it.
Don't disagree.
Not a damn lick of it. I'm going to tell you one thing. When we're done here, I'm going to the DQ. I'm going to slam back a couple.
Slow down there. Slow down there.
This movie was a huge fucking detour. Huge fucking detour. Anyway. By the way, I was talking about Sam and Nick at the scrapyard. And while the truck was being rebuilt, and Sam must have a lot of money, because he's constantly getting shit fixed. He's constantly getting his truck fixed. Putnam doesn't have a lick of fucking money, because he's driving a fucking heap. But yet Sam can get his whole fucking truck rebuilt. And like, within a day of it being completely torn apart.
These are parts of the movie that I barely remember. Just watched this movie 2 days ago.
We see Nick, which... It's funny because Nick was like carrying this NES around in the flatbed of the truck with him everywhere in his case of video games, and I can get into like some of like the close-ups of them playing video games and how there's some shit that doesn't match up.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Nintendo.
And I like how when Nick's playing that in the hotel room, Sam makes a comment like, it doesn't take a genius to play this game. Actually, the original TNT, it not only takes a genius, but some balls. And it does take. It takes balls and it takes smarts to get through that fucking hard-ass game. I've never even beaten it, and I don't want to replay it. Ever.
Are you sure you don't want to... Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Yes. No, it's not going to happen.
Oh.
You know, underwater... bombs. Nope. So
those are mines.
Eventually, whatever. I don't give a shit. So So eventually, Nick falls asleep and wakes up, and Sam's playing video games. And so at that point, Sam is now hooked on the Nintendo. So at the scrapyard...
Nintendo?
So at the scrapyard, we see Sam coming around the corner. He's like, hey, Dad, I think the truck's about done. And Sam's just like, you know, I just got past...
Shut the fuck up! I can't pause it right now.
He's like... He's sitting there and he's talking about like the Black River Devil, and he's like, I got the cross, and like, he's making references to Zelda 2. And he's like, you know, and he's sitting there like he doesn't care. He's like, he's got the Nintendo attached to the fucking TV, and he's playing Zelda, and he's gotten so far, and you know, like, and Nick just like rips the fucking Nintendo off the fucking TV. And as you see, and I was like, it's so, and I checked things out pretty good, and you see just a blip real quick because like the screen goes off, it goes blank. Mm. You do see a quick, like, the town, whatever town Link was in, he literally was playing Zelda 2. And I actually, like, dug into it a little bit more, and he was I don't remember the name of the town right off the top of my head now, but he was right after the River Devil.
One of the sages.
So, yeah, I mean, like when they say they're playing a game, even if you don't really like, well, I mean, that's really the only time we see that, like, he's referencing a game and you really don't see him play it. And he was legit playing Zelda 2.
I mean, the actor wasn't, but...
Well, no.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, he could have been saying anything, and then that quick blip could have been entirely different game.
Because I listened to this interview, the actor, whoever the actor's name was that played Jimmy... he had an interview with Jeremy Parrish, and he was talking about how even though the game is primarily about video games, none of the kids actually played video games. So all the footage of the games that they show were actually being played by like production assistants and shit like that. And a lot of the times, like...
Again.
A lot of the times the kids were like sitting there like, oh, we could play this a lot better than these fucking adults.
Again, that just adds to the fact that even behind the scenes, adults were still being pricks and doing shitty things.
Right.
But it's funny because you see Sam sitting there, and he's still got the controller in his hand after Nick ripped everything away. And so Sam tries to grab whatever he can, and they walk away and leave the RF switch hanging on the back of the TV. So now they're going to need a new RF switch for the Nintendo because they left it hanging off the TV on the scrapyard.
I don't know what that is.
Oh boy. Okay, so you got this like gray box, and it's got a cord, and that cord screws into the coaxial. Okay, and then the other cord that comes out of this gray box goes into the back of the NES. So he ripped the NES from the RF switch, and the RF switch was just left dangling on the TV.
Oh.
So they can't hook it up to the TV.
Now you know, kids.
They left it there. Let's talk about Haley's breasts. Why is Putnam... Why is Putnam taking note on how small and or non-existent they are? Like, why is he even verbally... He's screaming at somebody over the phone about it.
Haven't we established this already? He's the pedophile Boba Fett. Of course he's going to be talking about it.
He's screaming to somebody over the phone about it, having been accused of grabbing them when they were at the casino arcade, and when he started to take Jimmy at the casino arcade in Reno, she screamed, "Ah, that man grabbed my breasts!" And then the cops come and haul him off, which really, technically, that should have been in there too. Like, he should have been in the clinker until...
Yeah.
You know, plus, they probably should have stopped the kids too. I mean, because, you know, questioning. You know, got to get shit straight.
Right.
But that didn't happen. The kids got away, and he got whatever. And then must have been released, like, almost immediately. No sense.
Hey, it's Reno.
It's weak sauce.
It's Reno, man.
Weak sauce. I mean, they let kids gamble. You might as well let pedophiles touch little girls' breasts. But
yeah, hey, anything goes.
Yeah, so he's
what a time to be alive.
He's been accused of grabbing them, but he says that she doesn't have any. But
can we move on, please? Can we move on? Can we just...
So as I have it written down, surprisingly, I think he's secretly in denial of his potential pedophile ways, because he knows that she really does have some and wants to be touchy-touchy.
We established this like an hour ago when we first started talking about this guy.
When Putnam shows up at Haley's trailer, I'd like to know how he got away with taking Jimmy. We've seen his car. We've heard the noise that it makes. This trailer is in the middle of nowhere, in the desert. There's nothing else making sounds. Yet he was able to drive up to this trailer in his noisy-ass car, open up his creaky-ass door, close his creaky-ass door, walk into the trailer, which we've seen has a creaky-ass door on the trailer, and go inside the small-ass trailer where there's 3 kids, kidnap one of them, and he doesn't somehow make a sound, Jimmy, until he's almost at the car, and then Haley's
California!
like...
California! Haley, that's Jimmy's bad touch! Bad touch word!
Anyway, Putnam is like practically throwing Jimmy in the car at this point when Haley realizes that Putnam came for Jimmy and starts waking up Corey. And, you know, Corey's getting dressed and Haley's putting her bra on. Anyway, so...
Why?
How do the truckers... Oh, shit! Here comes Spanky again! How do the truckers, who then later cut off Putnam, happen to know exactly what road Putnam's going to be on and where he's going and at what time to get ahead of him or on the other side of him or going in the opposite direction of him to cut him off to take back Jimmy? And of course accuse him of Putnam of touching Haley's breasts.
Well,
How?
It's one
fucking road.
Yeah.
There's one fucking road in the whole goddamn thing.
It's just one road. Also,
Otherwise it makes no sense.
I like how all the truckers are just like the movie kind of
Touching her boobs? Touching that little girl's boobs?
No, I'm the only one that touches her breasts. Like, it's the trucker code. Like,
ladies and gentlemen, there's only a page and a half left. It's tourney time. Let's get to the end of the movie.
This is when I was paying attention to video game stuff because it's egregiously bad. It's really bad. Also, for the denouement of the film, it's also really boring. It's also really boring. Go ahead.
Let me ask you something.
What?
The registration guy that's outside,
He's also a huge pedophile.
is he having a stroke?
Oh. The registration guy.
Yeah.
Get in there! What does he say? Like,
What's your last name? We're gonna be playing Ninja Gaiden! Oh,
Jimmy
knows Ninja Gaiden! Would you like to touch my bobbins?
They're playing Ninja Gaiden! Hiya! And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Like...
So, the silliness just doesn't end, unfortunately.
Now, the announcer, pedophile number 2, I'm pretty sure him and Boba Fett are in cahoots.
Well, the
together.
announcer guy obviously smokes 10 packs of cigarettes a day. And the guy, and I looked.
He caresses that girl's pigtails.
Oh, yes.
And then calls her beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Shit. So
Moira.
So anyway,
Anyway.
I did look him up because I'm like, he had to have died of like throat or lung cancer at some point. It turns out that was really his only movie role. He's like more of a behind the scenes guy, but he's still alive.
The amount of cocaine he probably had to do to get that hype.
Oh,
Dude,
my
he's
gosh.
sweat. Do you notice how much he's sweating the entire scene?
Well, you know why? Because when all the kids are up there playing their Nintendos, none of the Nintendos are actually turned on. All the lights are off. So, of course, he's nervous. because the kids really aren't playing the video games.
Well, also probably the massive fucking rails he's blowing when he's not on set.
And I'm pretty sure, having entered one myself and having had my dad help me enter it, I don't think like a 9 and a couple 12-year-olds can just register themselves for a $50,000 contest.
Yeah. And they just show up. Like they literally just show up. They're
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if that was the only
Fred
one at the
Savage is
time,
like, hey, I'm on the list here.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, she probably knew somebody.
oh yeah,
That
trucker
registration
code.
guy was probably a trucker.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Who's touched her breasts.
Would I call her Hagelin Haley?
Yeah.
Hey, you're Hagelin Haley from Reno.
So anyway,
I've seen you around the slots.
I still remember when I played. My qualifying games were Super Mario Brothers, Tetris, and Excite Bike. Those are my 3 when I played.
All right. How far did you get?
I did not pass the first round, unfortunately.
You're too busy staring at Toad's breasts.
Hey! So the kids, they finish up, and 3 move on. Lucas, and Jimmy, of course, and Moira.
I only remember that because when that man caresses her pigtails, is like, the beautiful Moira. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna put my cigarette out on her tongue later.
You wanna play some Nintendo, Moira?
So, kids get a break, and he's basically like, everybody come back in 15 minutes for a brand new game you've never seen before. And right away, the kids are like fucking freaking out, like, new game! You didn't tell us it's gonna be a new game? This is totally unfair, new game! And you know what?
No,
bitch?
it's absolutely fair.
It is absolutely fair. It's the opposite of unfair. It is fair because everybody has the exact same, whether you want to call it an advantage or disadvantage.
Right.
They're all in it equally.
You're on a same
playing field.
Yep. It's not
So
unfair at
Corey,
all.
when you walk out of that building and say, it's unfair, fuck you, Corey. It's fucking fair.
Fred
bitch.
Savage sucks in this movie. I
God.
fucking hated Fred Savage in this movie so much.
So they walk out of the building on their break, and Putnam is there, and magically, also, so is Christina Bateman. Like, they just all of a sudden just showed up, like that. Like, they got the phone call, like, the day before, and now they're, like, from Nevada. Were they even in Nevada? No, they were probably still in Utah. How does that even, like, I don't know logistically how they even got there.
Oh, it's one road.
They were just there. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe they flew because they were there, like they weren't there, and then all of a sudden they were there.
Trip, yeah.
So they must have flown, but we just didn't know that. They were just there.
It's like the airport's here.
And,
so that's really
and they're talking to Putnam.
short.
And Lucas is there with his buddies on top of these steps. And this is Universal Studios, even though they don't say it, but it clearly is. And Lucas
I think they
is...
say it. I think they passed the giant fountain.
Yeah. Well, and they're on the tour,
Right?
too. Yeah. So, so Lucas all like, he recognizes Putnam. He's like, hey, pedophile, that's the kid you're looking for right there, you know? And, like, why at this point is Putnam even there? Technically, Putnam found the kids.
I mean, he still wants to get paid.
Well, he can get paid because he told them where the kids were, and guess what? There they are. His job is done.
True.
But we need more.
Them, though.
We need more excitement. It's not quite over yet. Screw the fact they have to play this mystery game, which should be just exciting enough. Now we need a chase scene where an adult is chasing after a couple kids, and the parents. Well, Sam and Nick.
Well-
Sam and Nick. Good old Sam. Bless his heart. He's all like, "Fuck Putnam. Fuck this guy." But Christine and Bateman.
I need some more Nintendo.
Christine and Bateman just stand back and are like, we're not going to have any part of this.
I just feel like Putnam would be like in his prime, like in a place like Universal Studio, and be like, look at all these children. Oh my god.
So Putnam starts giving chase after the kids, and the kids, doing stupid things, instead of running back into the building, where it probably would have been better off, they run away from the building. And then they jump on a tour tram. Who knows where that tour tram's going to go? It's definitely going to go away from the building where the contest is.
Right.
Where at this point, they're probably down to like, what, 11 minutes left? Like, why would you risk all this? Like, and there's adults all over. This isn't just all full of kids. There's adults all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, go talk to the registration guy that's having a stroke. Like, he'll all be like, I'll protect you, Ninja Gaiden, you know, like, whatever, you know, like, they could have totally went back into the building. They didn't. So they get on this tram, and they're going in all these out-of-bound areas, and on top of that, the guy running the tram is just all like, hey, everybody, just, like, calm down and stuff, like, you don't have any, like, he doesn't give a shit, right? He probably doesn't get paid enough to give a shit. Back then, he was probably making $6.50 an hour, and regardless, there's no, like, he doesn't have to give a shit, but where's the security? Like, security should be all over the fucking place. There's people watching, monitoring cameras all around Universal Studios. They should be, like, fucking jumping all over all these people, including Sam and Nick, for doing all the shit that they're doing. But you don't see a goddamn one single security guard.
Right, what is this, the Capitol building?
We're not going to go there. Anyway, so they magically happen to find an elevator. They happen to, like...
Yeah!
They're in a completely... They're in a completely different building to begin with. They're in the King Kong building with the fire and shit, you know, and the animatronic Kong. And they're crawling through, like, this door here and climbing up that crate there. And then they're crawling into a window.
Which I think is...
And now they're back in the same building above Video Armageddon.
To be fair, well, even though it doesn't, like, again, probably black holes. That's why somehow they ended up.
Can we just, like, say, like, it's Portal instead of Star Trek, please?
Hey, black holes aren't just particularly a Star Trek thing. But anyway, this was probably, like, the only scene that I kind of liked and that I would have liked to see more of. Is just, like, behind the scenes, like, Universal Studios rides type of shit. Like, them crawling around all, like, behind the scenes of the King Kong ride is, like, really cool. It's like,
yeah.
What if they went to the Back to the Future? I don't even know if that existed back then, but...
I don't know if it was in Hollywood, it was in Orlando.
Oh, but either way, just, like, yeah, just, like, some more behind the scenes, like, of the kids going through the rides and shit like that.
I'm sure
that was kind of fun.
I'm sure there's a whole entire movie
for what it's worth,
like that.
But
yeah, I mean, yeah, that was kind of cool. Getting to see basically King Kong looking like he's wearing a dress.
Right. Yeah.
So they happen to end up in this room above Video Armageddon where there just happens to be a small craft elevator of some sort that only like 2 adults or 3 children could fit on. And Putnam somehow can't, like, reach around or through to them until they're, like, too low for him to do it. And then he's like, I fucking hate my job. And he starts banging his head. And that's, like, the last time we see him.
No, like, he's in the crowd later.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about as far as him giving a shit.
Doing anything.
Yeah.
Important.
And he probably never got paid, I'm guessing. So Video Armageddon. How many goddamn fucking slide doors does that stage need? Like, there's sliding that way, like, sliding that way, sliding that way, sliding that way, and then there's 3 more, and then they slide, each one slides that way, like, like seriously, how many fucking
it's like
sliding doors does it need?
It's like Mystery Science Theater 3000 when they're about to, like, go to watch a movie and all the panels, like...
Oh, yeah, that too, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Maybe MST3K got it from there.
Also, how unrealistic is it that, like, they got the game going right away? You know, somebody was probably sitting in the back, like... and just constant, just, like, black screens before the game started up.
And that game is... Super Mario Bros. 3. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, Jimmy ends up being behind one of the sliding door panels, probably, well, it's the third one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth one?
Sure, you're the one that,
Anyway.
you pay attention.
So somehow, Jimmy ends up on the stage with the help of the elevator, and yet his brother and Haley end up back in the front row of the crowd, this time with the adults, magically. It must be Portal.
And the whole time the guy's where's Jimmy?
So they all start playing Super Mario Brothers 3. And Sam is completely fucking excited now. Like, he's all like, holy shit, this is fucking great. Like, he's like the coolest dad in the world at this point. Like, he was pretty nice before, kind of got walked on a little bit, you know, hard on his sleeve type of guy. That's the type of guy Sam is. But now he's like cool because now, like, he's like all hip and with it and fucking loves video games. But
Nintendo.
But again, this is like both Bridges being given bad lines.
Don't get it mixed up or anything. He only likes Nintendo. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Don't get it mixed up.
All right. When Sam tells Jimmy to watch the mushrooms, what the fuck does that mean?
None of it makes sense. None of it.
Watch
makes
the mushrooms,
sense.
Jimmy! Watch the mushrooms!
And then you got the guy.
Mushrooms. You don't watch. You shouldn't watch the mushrooms. That almost sounds like a warning.
Right.
If he's going for points, he needs to obtain the mushrooms.
Right. You just be like, get the mushrooms, get the mushrooms.
Not watch
them.
Yeah. And right away, they already know about fucking warps.
Yeah.
How do these kids know about warps? New game? New game? You didn't tell us about a new game. It's a new game no one's ever played before.
But also, I mean, I guess maybe if you had played Mario 1 and Mario 2, warps are a thing.
Oh, but somebody didn't know about warps in Mario Brothers 2.
Right, but so maybe they just assumed that there was a warp, which is kind of like, again, this movie is assuming a lot of things from both the characters and its viewers. So
how would they know the warp is going to be within the first 3 levels?
well, also, how does the
first warp could have been in World 2.
how does the warp net you points at all?
All right, we're gonna get there. Shut up.
What the fuck? We're talking about the scene now.
Anyway, the movie came out in December of '89. It was a few months before Super Mario Bros. 3 was released. In the film, it's clearly summer. I mean, it's got to be. They left Utah. Utah has winter. They're all still wearing shorts and T-shirts. So
They're pre-gaming their trip to California.
it was clearly the summer of '89, which pushes at least Super Mario Bros. 3 and people playing it back even further than just a few months. So now we're talking like 6 months out. And come to think about it, there wasn't a lot of anything anybody knew about Super Mario Bros. 3 before this very reveal, unless they all happened to be in Japan to play it. Otherwise, how do they know about warps and shit? Like, what? I don't think they had a Famicom. They weren't hooking up Famicoms. Anyway.
Again, it's just maybe. I don't want to make anybody mad, but I think
More warps. More warps. You are right, Keith. Warping has nothing to do with points, and points have nothing to do with warping. Or, as they shout out to Jimmy, jumping worlds. Jumping worlds? Jimmy, jumping worlds will get you points! No. Jumping worlds.
And this is something we've discussed on my show, where it's like points in the first Mario Brothers game was just kind of like an afterthought, and then they took it out completely for the second one. Well, the USA Mario 2, and now the third one does have points, but it's like why there's still no use for the points in that game.
Well,
just like in the first game.
There kind of is certain points, certain things that you do that line up certain things.
Well, you
unlock.
get 1-up and stuff.
Well, no, I mean
lives and shit.
No. Your score and like your time and like a number of coins you collect or something. I can't remember what it is. You get some kind of form of like
Nobody has ever
equal-
cared about the points in Super
you can
Mario
unlock
Brothers 3.
you can unlock coin ships that appear on the map.
Nobody has ever cared about the points in
Dude.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Part of me
At
wondered.
me on
part
Twitter
of me,
if you cared about the points in
100
Super Mario Brothers
part
3.
of me 100%ing Super Mario Brothers 3 was making sure that I opened up every single coin ghost ship,
Nobody has ever cared about the points in Super
On
Mario
every
Brothers
map.
3.
which meant I had to care about the points in Super Mario Brothers 3.
Well-
Anyway, so yes, so even if they would have known that somehow warps, which they shouldn't know anything about warps, they also should not know if warps. I mean, their first two introductions to warps in Mario Brothers, in one had a scoring system. You didn't get points for warping.
Right.
The second game had no score, so obviously you didn't get. So they shouldn't know anything about Super Mario Brothers 3 enough to even know yes or no if you even got points about it. I mean, it's weak sauce plus kids say the dumbest things equals fuck me. And you know what? Fuck you, Corey. You know why? You know why else fucking Corey should be fucking shot? Because Jimmy is calm, Corey.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy is the calmest, coolest character in the whole movie, except for when he starts throwing his fucking shit fit when he sees the fucking dinosaurs. That's when he, like, absolutely loses his shit. But throughout the whole movie, he's just... That's all he does.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all he does. You calm the fuck down, Corey. You're the one losing your shit. God damn it. Dumb little fucking shit. The rest of freaking out like a dumb little fucking shit. Most of the time, the female announcer... Most of the time, the female announcer announces a score.
There's a female? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The score does not actually match the score of the players on the screen.
True.
Getting a match in the lineup roulette minigame also does not give a player points,
Nope.
but only rather one-ups. He finally obtains the warp whistle in the level 1 small castle, the first Boom Boom Castle. Magically, he somehow just knows to fly it. Well, I mean, he's the wizard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But actually, so he hasn't actually done the act of warping yet. He just got the warp whistle. And yet, now they're screaming that the warp whistle will net you points. Why does everybody act so dumb?
Everything gets you points in this game. Everything gets you points.
Oh my god, stop! Jimmy wins at the last second by increasing his score like a lot by hitting the course clear box. Getting the star, which they want him to get that star.
Get the star!
Get the star, Jimmy, get the star! Like, that's the only way you're gonna fucking win. Your little running knight on the screen that has nothing to do with what you're actually doing will just plummet you into freaking outer space and you're gonna win. Getting the star or any symbol, whether it's also the mushroom in that box, whatever.
Fire flower.
It's not gonna increase the score. It doesn't increase the score. It's a match. You get 3 after a certain level. If they all match, you get 1-ups. Unfortunately, they almost make the mistake. You see Jimmy hitting that star, but if you pause it, right after he hits that
He
star...
only has a mushroom.
What?
He only has a mushroom. Right?
No, he actually got the star.
No, he got a star, but, like... Before that, he had a mushroom, so it wasn't matching anyway.
Yeah, no. The matching didn't matter. Jimmy just had to hit the star in that box because apparently you get like 50 million points. Okay?
I know. But
Okay.
Still.
So he hits the star. He does hit the star, and
Yeah,
that's what
right.
that was the goal of the movie for him to win was to hit the star. However, as soon as he hits the star, they cut away. They cut away from the score that's on the screen to this fake ass score that is supposed to match what's on the player's screen, but this fake ass score doesn't. And of all the times that the female announcer announces a score and it doesn't match, there is one time where she does say something and it does match, and then they show that screen and that screen matches also. So that screen is supposed to match the player as well. But as soon as Jimmy hits that star, they gotta cut away real quick because you will not see his score change on the screen of Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
They cut it like immediately. As soon as that star hits, bam, we're off the screen.
See, my whole thing was like, if we're gonna use a point system for this stuff, he has to have 3 matching cards. And not only does he, once he gets that star, does he have a mushroom, which already just doesn't match, but he's also only done the second level. Like, he still needs 1 more card, and there's an empty slot in there.
I think it would have been more exciting, and I know they probably couldn't give too much away, obviously. I mean, they really didn't show that much of Super Mario Bros. 3 to begin with. It was a lot of shots of Jimmy, or Lucas, or the kids in the crowd.
And they only showed like 3 levels.
Right, and just briefly, too.
Which, oh, go ahead.
I just think it would have been better, like, if it was points, but it was literally points by how far somebody got as well. Like, so, like, what if, like Jimmy used the warp, which you never really see him use the warp per se.
No.
Like, what if he used the warp and, like, you saw him... Like, I just think that, like, there could have been a better way to add the drama to him, you know, because he kept dying, too. And somehow, when you die, you lose points on your score. And you gotta start over. And, so, like, that kind of makes sense to me, too, but, like I...
That's the thing I'm surprised you didn't point out in all of this is the dying and the restarting a level, because...
That's why I'm pointing it out now.
The announcer is like... like... Jimmy's in World 2! And then like it would show like clearly he's like only on like the 2nd level of World 1. And then he's like, "Oh no, Jimmy went back to World 1." And like and now Lucas is starting World 2. Like, don't tell me Lucas is on World 2.
No.
I can see on the HUD it says World 1 right there.
I know.
Like, don't tell me. I know World 1 2. That's not World 2 1.
This is bad. No, this is bad writing. This is bad writing. When he's saying that he's on 2 or 1 or goes from 2 back to 1, he's literally talking about -1, -2, -3. That's what he's talking about.
I don't give a fuck.
That's what he's talking about. Because when you die in Super Mario Bros. 3, and you're in a level, what happens? Your character spins back one level, and then you have to move back and go in. So technically, it was written correctly that yes, he went back a level or whatever. He shouldn't have to start that level again. He can go right back to World 1, 2.
No, we're using the world. We're using the word world for these levels. I'm like, no. Right. No, it clearly says World 1.
World 1 is
on
the world.
Fucking HUD.
Level is -1. Level is -2. Level is -3.
So don't tell me Lucas just made it to World 2 and the fucking HUD still says World 1.
The writing should have had the announcer.
I see it.
Or not the announcer.
Don't tell me it isn't. I see it.
That's what I'm trying to argue against, is the fact that the writing for the MC, he should have been saying level and not world.
You know what? I think this is just a poorly written movie.
So anyway, Jimmy magically wins by collecting the star in the course clear box. And he's the big hero, the big $50,000 wiener. And so at this point, they're all just going to start heading back to Utah. And on the way back to Utah,
Jimmy wants to stop at a tourist trap.
they come across, it's called the Cabazon Dinosaurs.
Okay.
That's most people nowadays, that's what they call it, because that's what it is. But back then, a guy named Claude Bell built that attraction and ran that attraction until he was too old and retired and sold it. And they were called Claude Bell's Dinosaurs. Very famous. They've been all Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I just know it as the dinosaur from Fallout New Vegas.
Or that too. Very famous. Very famous. They are located just outside of Palm Springs in Cabazon, California. So Jimmy sees these dinosaurs and he starts screaming, "California!" And yet nobody fucking knows what the fuck, why he wants to pull over. They all see them. They're huge. And nobody understands why they're going there. the family, as you saw earlier, and in the picture of the family and the sister was dead, which is what Jimmy's problem is. He wants to like somehow pay one last tribute to his sister. That's why he wants to really go to California, because of a photograph in his lunchbox of all these mementos he keeps about his sister. There's a photograph that looks like it was just taken a week ago, even though she's dead.
Right.
Because they all looked exactly the same age.
Yeah, like how long ago did she fucking die?
And nobody fucking gets the fucking clue of why Jimmy wants to pull over there. They were just fucking there.
His sister dies and they immediately want to put him in an institute.
And Corey, of all people, just saw the goddamn picture 3 days ago. And he's even still like, I don't know, just pull over. Like, what? Like, like nobody fucking, like, gets it. Like, why? There's no reason why they couldn't. And I know it's because they wanted a whole touching movie actually inside one of the dinosaurs, the T-Rex. But somebody could have, at least in the car, just been like, yeah, I know why we're pulling over. Pull over. And then still had a touching moment inside the fucking dinosaur. Instead, everybody's gonna act fucking stupid. Like, what the fuck?
I just still like the idea where the mom is just like, the sister dies and all, like, Jimmy's terribly sad. She's like, come on, do something. Do something or you're going to a fucking home. Like, why are you so fucking sad?
California. California.
Careful now.
And even at this point, he's shouting California. They're in California. They're stopping at the dinosaurs, and they still don't know what the fuck California means. If he's shouting it now, and they're in California, this is exactly what it means. Why you're stopping.
Hey, some people
at
say
the Bell's Dinosaurs.
Some people say he's still saying California to this day.
So they have the touching moment. They understand exactly what Jimmy wanted to do. Pay tribute to his sister. Inside the dinosaur, he leaves his lunchbox behind, which is also a sign that he's moving on.
Wait, this movie wasn't about Super Mario Brothers 3?
No.
Oh.
But before we go, another logistical issue here. So, we already told you about how Reno was way out of the way. Their directional course to get to LA from Utah was...
No, it's on one road.
Was ridiculous. Well, it was on one road going the wrong direction. And then technically, if you go all the way back where Sam admitted to driving south the wrong way, actually that would have been the right way, Sam. So he never actually probably did drive south the wrong way. He was probably driving northwest. So the Bell's Dinosaurs, like I said, they're now the Cabazon Dinosaurs. They're located outside of Palm Springs. Heading that direction from Universal Studios, you would have to be on the I-10, heading east, out of LA.
I believe you.
Okay. And that I-10, heading out of LA, travels at a southwest pace, heading into Phoenix, Arizona. Instead, if you want to go to Utah from LA, you want to head on the I-15 and head north, and then take that east, again, going through Vegas, and then eventually northeast into Utah. So technically, they went out of their way to just happen to pass by these dinosaurs, because they shouldn't have been going that direction to begin with.
Well, how do you know they, after Universal Studios, they didn't stop at a DQ to slam a few back?
They went way out of their way to find a fucking DQ then. They should have went to fucking...
No, they went to the good... They wanted to go to the good one. They didn't want to go to the one over there. They wanted to go to the nice one.
They should have went to In-N-Out and gotten a double-double and some animal-style fries and a Neapolitan milkshake. That's slamming back. That's slamming back some shit right there. So, again, now they're going in the completely wrong direction to get back to Utah. And I just leave you with one question. Do they just kidnap Haley now? Is she just...
Yeah! Wait, yeah, right.
She's just going back to Utah with her?
I guess this is our kid now.
Like, she's just in the back of the truck with them, like, kissy, kissy, touch my bobbins, you know, like, Like, I'm going back to Utah with you guys, I guess. We're gonna just have a nice big Mormon family thing going on with, you know, you can. I'll take a couple husbands
It's funny
on.
because like Jimmy's like sitting there, and then he eventually kisses her. It's just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get on this too. Like,
there's absolutely no resolution as to what happens with Haley. She's just
Right.
we're just left to assume that she's going home with them.
they just drop her back off at Reno in the casino.
Even though they're headed towards Phoenix, Arizona, maybe they'll just drop her off in Albuquerque, and she'll eventually meet up with somebody named Jesse Pinkman.
Maybe
And
Spanky
the
will
rest is
come pick
history.
her up.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, that's the movie in a nutshell. Keith, what are your thoughts on The Wizard?
I mean, I think I've pretty much summed it up. This movie's
Would you-
boring as shit.
And would you say it's a poorly written film?
I would say it's very poorly written. And yeah, it's very boring. I mean, I remember when I initially watched it in 2015 or whatever, I was like, wow, this is pretty boring. And then again, when I tried to watch it for this show, I fell asleep. And I don't remember where I fell asleep, but I had ended up watching it over again, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't often look at my phone when I'm watching movies, but I could not stop reaching for my phone watching this fucking movie because I was like, this is so fucking boring. Nothing is going on. Fred Savage doesn't do shit this entire movie except bitch and complain. That's all he does is just bitch and complain the entire movie. He doesn't do anything. The only thing you could say that he does is initially get Jimmy out of that home.
Right.
Which is to say, like, that's not a lot because Jimmy had no problem getting out of the home in the first place. So Fred Savage doesn't need to be.
He had no problem getting out of the first home. We don't know about the institution. We never had a chance to see that. He was in an institution for like less than a day.
Fred Savage is not needed in this movie at all. He doesn't do shit. He doesn't do shit.
Well, he was the it kid back then.
Haley's character got everything moving. And to be honest, like, between her and Beau Bridges, like, they were both fine. Despite, like, the weird, like...
You know what the best part of Haley was? Every time she fucking kicked Corey's ass.
Yeah, every time she fucking
like
punched
that.
him.
And
Yes.
he'd be like, knock the fuck
The
out.
first time when they're like at that lookout or whatever, and she like punches him or whatever, but like because he puts on that stupid fucking mask, she's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, and just fucking, I'm just like, yes, thank you. I've been wanting to fucking punch this child for fucking ever. Like,
But you know what else that means? It also means that she liked him the whole time.
oh.
You know?
I'm just like, dude, no, and then he gets his ass kicked by somebody else, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets the bloody nose from the punks that the teenage punks.
Lucas's
at the drive-thru.
friends or whatever.
At the
Yeah.
drive-thru.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
the drive-in.
Yeah, he gets his ass killed. I'm just like, yeah, that was the only... That's probably the best thing in this whole movie, watching Fred Savage get his ass kicked, but... yeah, it's fucking boring. Even the last 10 minutes of the whole... arcade, universal, whatever the fuck it's called, that was even boring. And then it was also, the nerd part of me came out when I was like, well, this isn't how you play Super Mario Brothers 3. You know, like, yeah, I don't want to ever watch this movie again.
Yeah.
So,
So here's my final thoughts on The Wizard, a.k.a. Rain Man Jr. If you've seen it, and you saw it as a child, and that's the last time you've seen it, and you've got some fond memories and it holds a special place in your heart, keep it there. Don't let it go. Because if you rewatch it now as an adult, you're going to get fucked. It is not. As an adult, rewatching it is not a good film. It's the worst. I'd rather watch Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher again than to watch The Wizard again. And keep in mind, I had to watch it twice. Actually, the first time because I was actually looking up stuff on my phone while watching it. Not random. It had to do with the movie. And then I'm like, you know what? Like 10 minutes in, I was like, I didn't even I was like, I should probably be writing stuff down too. And I was like 20 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm a half hour in. I really should have been writing stuff down. But I'm just going to do my research on my phone the first time, and then I'll rewatch it and write stuff down, and I'm going to throw them all together.
yeah, I mean, when I was here for Super Mario Brothers, I had a whole bunch of notes, but I just could not pay attention to that movie at all. I'm surprised I remembered as much as much stuff as I did coming into this. So
It's so bad. I'm gonna leave it with that. I was gonna try to find a Power Glove for this episode, but I couldn't. And
we
then
live in Wisconsin. All we've got is like those long gloves you do to inseminate cows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I couldn't find a Power Glove in time for the episode, but don't. It is not a rewatch.
you'd have more fun inseminating a cow.
And if you've never seen it, don't watch it. And if you think like, oh, well then if you liked it as a kid, maybe my kids might like it. No. Your kids aren't going to like it either because it's way too fucking outdated at this point. It's not enjoyable at any age right now.
Go play Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yes.
Go play Super Mario Brothers 3.
That's the best takeaway you can get out of basically an hour and a half long Nintendo ad is go play Super Mario Brothers 3. So that's going to do it for this episode of Rewind and Rewatch. I thank you guys for coming. It was on the Wizard. And if you liked it, go ahead and click that like button. And if you didn't, click the dislike button. And leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've seen the Wizard. What did you think of it? And, you know, did you see it as a kid? Did you see it now? Are you dumb that you saw it now? Like, what's your problem? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And share the video with your friends. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Deuces.